patient, you know. This is what I was talking about, that was in your book, that talked about Carestream and Agfa and Fuji and Minolta and how they all have different exposure indexes. So basically it tells you if the number that pops up is greater than 2,500, then you didn't have the correct exposure on the patient. And then this one is 2.9, and this one's less than 100. They all have their own deal going on, okay? You don't have to memorize that. Just know they can all be different, because when you get into your clinical site, you know, Dominic might say, well, mine is between 2 and 3, and Miriam might say, well, mine's over 2,500. So they're all different, okay? Still the same thing. And I'll show you back on our x-ray machine what I'm talking about, okay? And then there's just, it's just talking about some more of it. And then to even confuse you a little bit more, some, if your number's high, you've overexposed, and some, if your number's high, you've underexposed. So you gotta know which machine does what. Because, you know, why would we not just keep it all the same universal, you know? Let's just
make it
really make it hard for us, right?
We're measuring OID and SID in inches when the rest of the world is
centimeters, yeah, and sometimes on your registry there's some centimeter stuff too. You just have to know that 2.5 centimeters equals 1 inch.
I will laugh if that's on any of our registry questions. Like, how can it?
It will be, because what they do is sometimes they'll say a question in centimeters and then put the answer in inches.
You gotta know your conversion.
Yeah. So, we kind of talked about automatic rescaling. Remember, that's the part of the computer software that fixes your image to make it look like the body part that you're x-raying, okay? Ooh, so fun. Window level and window width. So, these are image display parameters that pop up on the monitor on your x-ray machine, okay? So we can adjust the window level, which controls the brightness, and we can adjust the window width, which controls the contrast, the black and white, okay? So you need to know the difference. Level, for some reason, I don't know why, but I remember it when I think of level of brightness, okay? That just helps me remember it. However you remember it is, you know, up to you, but that's just for some reason. Level of brightness. And window width controls the contrast. What was contrast again?
Black and white.
The black and white. How much gray? So we've got fluoroscopy. Okay, that's another area of x-ray. And fluoroscopy is real-time images. Okay, so when we take a regular x-ray with that x-ray machine, that's a moment in time. Okay, we take a picture of the hand, the picture pops up. Okay, but fluoro is a live radiation that's watching what's going on. So you can turn on the fluoro, and if you're doing like an upper GI, okay, where you're watching patients swallow barium, you can see the barium go down live, okay? So one reason we might do that is maybe somebody's aspirating, okay? And so we're having them drink this barium, which shows up radio opaque on my x-ray, and I could see if they're aspirating into their lungs, okay?
Didn't you have a photo? I didn't need it.
No, go ahead.
Did you have a photo of that on our Kahoot?
Yeah, I think I did.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Mm-hmm. So basically, it's just live radiation. Okay.
But they use like less exposures or much less, right
There.
Than like
X-ray exposure are much less than fluorographic
Yeah.
exposure, yeah. So, which makes sense, right? If I'm taking an x-ray, I'm just given like X amount of radiation to get through. But if I'm using fluoro, I've got it on all the time. So like when I showed you that video of that, in the shoe departments, you know, that little
Yeah,
shoe
the
thing,
shoe.
that was live radiation. Other people were moving their foot around in there, that's fluoro, okay? So literally they were just blasting everybody in there, just all go nuts. Everybody go nuts, fantastic. Okay. So we do it because you can watch the body's physiologic actions and functionalities, okay? Because sometimes, like, if you have surgery, you can get fissures, which are like tracks that run in between body parts that shouldn't be there. Like, I've seen feces in vaginas before, because like they may have had some kind of pelvic surgery, and you can get, when the scar tissue starts healing, you can get these fissures or these tracks that run from areas that they weren't supposed to, and then it goes into other areas. So like sometimes it could be bowel, it could open up into bowel, and so then you're getting, you know, like bowel contents in your peritoneum. Okay, so it can be anywhere, but you can see some really weird stuff. I once saw somebody throwing up feces.
Yeah,
So there's some weird stuff with that.
It's weird. It's because you can't go to the bathroom, it's gotta be expelled some way.
Well, this was a,
I've seen it.
this was somebody that had that gastrointestinal, gastric surgery,
Oh,
you know,
bypass
30 years
surgery?
ago.
Oh.
Yeah, and so it went very wrong. So,
They went to Mexico, I'm joking.
A very scary story about my dad.
so we'll have to gotta get through stuff, so. So they use, it uses an image intensifier and then a flat panel detector. You don't need to necessarily know this right now, okay? So this is a fluoro machine. Fluoro machines work a little bit different. So, you know, we got our x-ray tube over there, and the x-rays come out of the x-ray tube, strike the image receptor in there, okay? Well, some fluoro machines work differently than that. So it looks like you've got your, so you got your tube up here, okay? But this isn't actually a tube, it's the intensifying screen, okay? So the radiation is coming up from the bottom of the table, and the intensifier, or the IR, image receptor, is at the top, okay? So it works opposite. And so, why is that important? Well, if you're shielding somebody, you know, like if they're laying down on the table and you're doing a regular x-ray, and the x-ray is coming down from here, you want to put the shield in between the x-ray and the patient. So if you're doing a fluoro, you're gonna make your patient lay on the table, okay, lay on the shield, because that's where the radiation is coming up in between, okay? Not all machines do that, okay? Some are built like a normal machine, okay? It depends on how new your fluoro table is. But most of the time, this is how they're set up. And like this is like a plate right here. You can turn this to where it's standing up and your patient's standing, and you can do it. Or you can make them Trendelenburg, where their head is below their feet, and what have you, okay?
So I was reading that 90-15 is 15%